Guild, Bukit Vista. Okay, I'll get us rolling, and then I'll switch over to Risky. All right. So, anyhow, this is the first Bukit Vista Financial Guild meeting. Okay, Risky, Gigi, and I are here. So we are. Let's agree on some just general level frameworks, right? So we agreed to use the /Bukit Vista room. So I'll create space on my calendar so it doesn't take up too much of that. So we have this space. What's the time limit? How much time should we spend on this?
30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes? Okay, so 30 minutes once a week. Okay, it's in the Bukit Vista room. And is there a fixed chairperson, or do we want to have a rotating chairperson? Okay, all right, let's have a rotating chairperson. So, rotating chair. Okay. And for a rotating chair, one of the most important things is we fix the next chair before we end the meeting. Okay, so we'll agree on that?
Yep.
Okay, actually, let's do it properly. So I make a motion that we fix the next chair before we end the meeting. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, all right, so the motion passes. We go put it in there. All right, and then record the meetings here. And I think we can create a index of past meetings. All right. This is a new innovation. So what I'm suggesting is that we actually create a paper link off-site such that it's probably like index of financial guild meetings. Okay. And then we put a table over here on this document. And then we just kind of put the date and the, wait, let me just fill it out so it's clear. And this is pretty simple. It's just a date and the meeting. And we upload it to YouTube so that it can be shared. And that way, that's how we keep track of our meetings. Okay, so we got some format there. We'll go on the agenda. So the agenda will always be on new business and old business. And a proxy list. So a proxy list is who represents you when you're not here. So let's go with Risky first. Risky, who's your first proxy? Gigi. Okay, Gigi. Okay, if Gigi's not here, Gigi, who's your... if Gigi's not here, who's your second proxy?
Jim.
Okay, all right. I actually refuse to be your proxy because I don't really actually know a lot of your work. So that's one of the things that also be comfortable with, right? So I cannot accept that because I don't actually know your work. So
Okay, maybe for now we just use me and Gigi as a
Okay. All right, let's go to Gigi then. Gigi, who's your proxy?
It's Risky.
Okay, all right, so that's pretty clear, but let's just write it down because it might not be clear for people who come in later. This also allows, I think, for holidays later on. I think next time maybe one of you guys are on holiday, so we'll know who's going to keep up the next meeting. Most important thing is that we just have discussions about this regularly, and it should not be dependent on, oh, this person's here and we can have a meeting, or this person isn't there and we have a meeting. All right, very good. So let's go and give ourselves, the objective. So this is the objective that I put down is to build transparency culture within the company and sharing knowledge about finance. Can we agree that can be a good objective? I motion that as one of our first objectives. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, all right. Let's put it to vote. All in favor of that? Please raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, great. Are there any other objectives that we can put here as discussion? So I open up for discussions and also motions for new objectives that are not on that list. Okay, yes, the chair recognizes, or the temporary chair recognizes Gigi.
Okay. So maybe to give to get the other teams familiar about what finance Bukit Vista doing.
Okay,
So,
get other.
space like that.
That's already a related transparency.
Okay.
So that's the
I
idea.
think that's the other thing.
Okay, let's go to Risky. Risky, do you have any other objectives that you think we need to cover in these meetings?
Not for the moment, sir. I think that sounds
Okay, very good.
for a moment, yeah.
If there are more, then we probably can put them more, so that part is good. And these are not really key results right now. These are, I would just say, guild SLAs, right? So these are kind of behaviors that we would like to have at the moment. If the SLAs start expanding, then we'll go off page. Okay, so then I suggest the format of the meeting can be like this. Today is May 28th. So let's be clear about who the chairperson is. So the chairperson is Risky. And Risky, who do you want to nominate for your secretary?
I want to nominate
Okay, Gigi will be the secretary. Okay, and I will be the recorder. And then Jing will be the recorder, the video recorder. Okay, I nominate myself. All right, so let's go ahead into the meetings, chairperson. So the format of, the format of this is typically like this, risky. So we'll just start on old business, and you go down old business first. If there is anything that needs to have a project, let us know, and then we will develop a Trello for that project so that we can follow up on it. If it's just FYI or any discussion topics, you can just keep it on old business. Okay, all right, take it away, chairperson. I hand over the floor to you.
Okay, so first of all, I want to actually discuss about the main. This is one of the urgent topic that I have to discuss with you guys.
Okay.
The standard reimbursement procedure.
Okay.
So actually, we measure what is the maximum, like for example, like meal reimbursement or lunch
Yeah.
in
Okay.
Georgia.
Right.
How much we should be
Oh, okay.
reimbursed, like maximum 20,000.
All right, all right.
If it's more than 20,000, or maybe for example like 25,000, then 5,000, we only reimburse only 20,000.
Oh, I see. So
5,000
cap.
will be-
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And the value based in 25,000 for
Okay.
example. And then
Got it.
how much for transportation reimbursement,
Okay.
compensatory reimbursement, and housing and healthcare.
Okay. Got it. All right. So, Chairman.
Yeah, can I add something? So so the main objective why we are creating this discussion is we want to get something that we agree on within the teams.
Mhm.
So everybody can expect like what can get reimbursement and also how much it can get reimbursed.
Okay.
So it's kind of open discussion because it can be really tricky to decide just from one side. So it's better just put the motion on the floor so everybody will know it, and
Okay.
it's based on the team agreement.
Okay.
About that amount.
All right.
Okay, so I recognize you.
Chair, I would like to know what our constraints are. So, what sort of are the upper constraints and the lower constraints on this particular reimbursement?
Constraints
Or-
standard.
If I can demonstrate, right? So I'll just put this here. Upper constraint. Let me put a table here because I can kind of see it better if I have a table, right? So what I think is that there should be like kind of an upper bound and then lower bound, right? And then it should be for, let's say, two parties. Let's say the employee, or let's say the party, right? So on one party there's the company, and on one party there's the employee, right? So upper bound for the company is how much we can afford. Upper bound on the employee is how much they can ask. Lower bound is what's the least we can get away with, and the employee is what's the least that they should ask for. So I don't know what the upper bound on the company is, but I think it should be. This is a good question, right? What is too much to reimburse for an expense? And I think that's to do with maybe, I'm not sure, right? These numbers 20 and 25, these are just random numbers I think we pulled out, right?
This is from the average. If we eat outside when we go to lunch,
Mm-hmm.
average we eat is like around 25,000 in Bali.
Okay,
in
got it.
Georgia it's cheaper because there's a lot of mahasiswa, there's a lot of students, right?
Right.
There's so many choices, the cheaper choices in Georgia. So
Okay, got it. So we're basically looking at, say, average based on each marketplace, right? Okay, all right. I have an idea. Can we find what the median meal expense is in each market? So let's just say we take a look at all the numbers for every meal that was ever purchased, right? And we look at, okay, divide that by the number of people. Sometimes maybe the meal is shared, average meal expense per person. And then I think then essentially then we know Average is a little bit hard because let's say sometimes the company goes out and they spend 100,000, sometimes it goes down. But median I think is about right, right? So if you look at each meal, let's say some meals are 10, some meals are 15, some meals are whatever. I think that is the good boundary for like an upper bound, right? You should be about that way. All the meals start lining up around a certain budget, and not like okay, sometimes high, sometimes low. They all sort of fixing that. My upper bound on this can't be out of control, right? And I don't know what out of control looks like at the moment, but I would say that what would it look like out of control for a meal allowance? Have you seen an out of control meal expense request yet? Okay, so nothing like that's like crazy. Huh? Okay, got it. I think that should be okay for. Okay, on the lower bound, I would say there's not too much lower bound. Lower bound, I would say people shouldn't be paying for meals. Okay, let's say people shouldn't be paying for meals out of pocket during work hours and work events, right? Oh, upper bound. Oh yeah, like I remember Gabby was putting in dinner receipts, and he was yeah. Okay, so I think some upper bounds can also be meals outside of work hours. So like stuff on the weekends or stuff that's like clearly it was at 10 p.m. and I'm pretty sure you weren't working at 10 p.m. So I think that's an upper bound. Lower bound is I don't think people should be paying for meals outside of pocket during work hours and work events. Okay, all right. So all I would really want in this particular case is just a statistic, right? Like what is the numbers there, and then what's the median, and then we should put that. And then that would actually incentivize people to start following that median as a boundary. And the median might be different than what we just think it is right here, right? So that's once again a more data-driven decision than just kind of a assumption-driven decision, right? I'll give you an example of what I mean in terms of, let's say, pricing. So let's say, for example, we're talking about nightly price distribution of a property. So I'm just saying this just to be absolutely clear. So we see that some people pay $20 a night, some people pay 30, some people pay 40. So let's just take a look and see what people pay. And then that middle number, I think, is the number that should be taken into account. So I'll just illustrate this real quick on price distribution. Okay. And then I think the goal of expenses is that we, once again, measure, put this into a thing. I think we put this into an Excel sheet and have, let's say for example this, right? I would not want the median to start moving away from, this is what I mean by control, right? If the median starts moving away, then that means something's going wrong, right? If the median starts going low, that means maybe people are being too budgeted on their things. Let's find out what the median is and then track the median. That allows us to adapt with time. Perhaps, let's say, prices go up in JoJo, right? And it goes up. And then we go, okay, all right, this is probably why. To set a fixed amount is good for today. But how do we know about the future, right? So, like this. Let me illustrate this point. So this is let's go just to today. All right, so today we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bookings and villas all over the place, and the average median price was $42 a night, right? So that's for today. So I think then we can look at the median expense per meal, and then finance can use median meal. That could be a KPI, meal expense as a KPI. It's not extra work. You just put it in the spreadsheet and you go median number, and then the median number comes out. And let's say, for example, the JoJo squad, their median number keeps on going up. And I go, why is your median number going up? Right? And then we have some idea of like what's going on as a group. It's almost like tracking the squad results. So okay, I do agree that there should be some limit. I just want to add that I think this approach could be a more scientific and more evolutionary way to track it, because the median probably will change over time too. And we should have that as tolerance. Okay? All right, so transportation reimbursement based on receipts. Okay, so, oh yeah, I forgot. Let's talk about the employee upper bound. The employee upper bound, I think, should be as happy as possible, right? As happy as possible. So that means all kinds of, reimburse everything, right? I think that shouldn't be the employee upper bound. That should be kind of like, I think the employee upper bound can be this. Ah, right. What is in the best interest of Bukit Vista? Okay. And then the lower bound is how I should not have to pay for something that's covered during work-related duties. Can we agree that those are pretty good upper and lower bounds? So if you buy something expensive, let's say for example, maybe you're treating a client out, right? So go ahead and do it. That's in the interest of the business. That's fine. But if it's like, I'm going to go and take 5 of my friends out for whatever, for not working here, that's not really in the best interest. So that fails in that test, right? And the lower bound should be like, I'm paying out of pocket to actually be here, and that I think is a lower bound, right? If it's during work hours, then they should not have to for that. Okay, so now we set some expectations on both sides, right? For what the company wants and what the employees want. So hopefully this will provide good guidelines. Okay, so let's move to, Chairman, I'm done talking. So I'll go back to you now.
Okay, so we agree on meal reimbursement. We're not using a maximum per meal, so we're using a median reimbursement.
Yeah.
So we will monitor every month.
Yeah, and that can actually be a KPI too. The median expense, and ideally that should be shared, transparent. What is the median meal expense compared to what's the median meal expense this month in Bali? And we can all be more in line. We're like, what the fuck? Why did we spend? Oh, okay, that's pretty much normal, and that will help us track it. Once we have determined that, I think then we can start getting closer, because we need sort of to run it a little bit, see what the benchmark is, and then make a decision on, okay, what should it be? Maybe we'll find out that this isn't enough, right? Maybe we'll find that this is too much. Okay.
Next transportation reimbursement. So far, we think that the best is based on receipt.
Yes.
Because we can track the house going, where the house,
right,
where the house went, or where the airport went. Or
okay. Very good. If I may, Chairman. Okay.
Yes.
Once again, I think the best way to track this and determine, I agree, we should base on repeat, that's fine, but let's track this. Let's track, like, your, within your chapter, like, what is the median for transportation, right? And ideally, we should have it public, like a board, so everyone can see it. Let's say, for example, for some reason, you're logging 300,000 a month on transportation receipts, and everybody else is a host too, and they're only logging 150. So then that allows essentially self-guidance, right? Why is it that you're logging 300 a month and everyone else is 150? Oh, maybe you're using Gojek for everything. Okay, maybe we can talk about that, right? Or maybe it's like Patnuki and he's using a car, or he's giving rides to other people, whatever it is. But my thought is maybe have this so that everybody is clear what everybody else has reimbursed, and then that way there's more, once again, a convergence, so that you don't have somebody who's super high and super low. All right. So what I would suggest, if I may, is posting a leaderboard per chapter on transportation expenses. So with this then allows for, I think, more self-policing, right? If you tend to reimburse a lot of stuff, then it will show to everybody that you're reimbursing crazy amount of stuff, right? And it could be normal given your particular circumstance, but if it's out of hand, then I think people will start seeing that too, and that gives a little bit more control over how reimbursements are done.
Or do you think if you the person that on the top of the leaderboard, what do you think
Well, then they need to examine why they're there, right? Or they need to start justifying why they're there. Like, let's say, for example, for example, let's go with, this is not just transportation, but it could be also, let's say, for example, me. I have a budget of 0 per month on communications because I'm never leave the office. So I don't need to buy Pulsa for the most part. So I'm at 0. But let's say somebody is always out and they're making phone calls a lot, they're using a lot of done. And maybe, for example, actually, I can't think of anybody. But let's say, for example, Cha-Cha. Right? You can imagine, like, in the future, let's say she's out in the field, there's not Wi-Fi anywhere. So she'll probably have a higher expense for telecom, and for meals, and for everything else, right? But let's say you have all your meals here. You have a gigantic meal allowance. It's like, why do you have such a huge meal allowance when you eat at base all the time? Once again, one of those things that we don't need to police it. We just need to post it, and then people police themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you go to Coco Mart, the security of all the cameras is just right when you come in. So nobody needs to watch it, in fact, because it's just transparent, and everyone can see it. So nobody has to nag anybody about, oh, why are you expensing this? Why is it so? Well, we just all know because it's all public, and it's just displayed. You can go through it all hands real quick, right? And you got Gigi got number 1 on telecommunication expenses this month, right? But that idea then I think creates a convergence. It starts like creating, okay, all right, nobody is getting essentially a way that is different. Yeah, that's that. And to solve this entire thing, I would think housing allowance is a bit, it's a bit contractual. So that's private in some ways. Some people we have to bring over. Some people like whatever. It's usually about the housing allowance is actually decreasing with each generation. Just to let you know. So people who came in earlier got more housing allowance. People who came in later get less, and people in the future probably won't get a housing allowance, right? I think people who came in earlier essentially took more risk during the company. So congratulations. When the company is well established, you're not taking a risk anymore. You're essentially riding on a boat that's already built. So I don't know if I want to publish that. I guess we can leave it on basically contract for now.
It's already published.
It's already published?
Yeah.
What everyone gets for housing allowance is published?
Yeah.
Where?
On the reimbursement that everybody can access it on the Google sheet that we.
Oh, people can see that, yeah? Maybe that's why everyone jokes to start asking for it. That part also concerns me a bit, and that's something I need to bring up with the HR Guild. And it seems like, I'm not sure if housing allowance is being used or abused in JoJo. Because the whole point of hiring in JoJo was so that people are in JoJo anyway. And now people who live in JoJo are asking for housing allowance. And I'm like, what? That's a little bit odd. So perhaps that also can be published too. I think that would be kind of an interesting thing. And it can be associated with the tenure of each person, right? Okay, and then healthcare allowance, I'm leading the meeting now, sorry.
I think the healthcare allowance, we actually we're not sure.
Okay.
Because we don't have the measurement. And
Right.
We have discussed it more, and she said that she also confused that.
Okay, then
the best,
here's why I'm on that. We will cover all healthcare related expenses at the moment related to work related injuries, right? Or work related incidents. So, like, Diva's incident doesn't really count. She was skateboarding outside of work and that happened. So it has to be work related, and we should probably put a limit to this too as well. We're probably going to get BPJS at some point, but sometimes I think that's just a waste of money. We probably self-insure and have it be. Yeah, we just have to put a max limit on it.
we cannot do BPJS.
Yeah.
Oh, right. We're not.
Because you have to be transparent about how much people get paid, and it's related to the taxation as well.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I didn't know that. All right. So if people get paid more, then we have to pay more taxes. Is that correct? Oh, because there's payroll tax.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's on pause for the moment then. I guess we'll self-insure. The maximum, I think. Well, I need the dash statistics on that. I need to see what the what is the. I'd be probably comfortable between 25 to 35 million for insurance right now, but I would like to see some statistics on what is, let's say, the median sort of injury. I'm not an insurance person. This is probably why you pay insurance companies to figure out for you.
I And it's
What?
also,
What? Okay, go ahead.
and it's also super rare, right? For now, people want to get reimbursed for healthcare or loans. I never
Like-
experienced before.
Oh, okay. What are people in reimbursement for healthcare now?
I
Nothing,
never
right?
experienced before.
Okay.
Get reimbursed for
Okay. All right.
healthcare.
Okay. It's we're gonna have some policies too. All right. I think most people here are pretty young, so that's generally pretty standard. But policy has so far been that we pay for any work-related stuff. Lionel was a bit miffed at Pot Nuki's situation because he was coming with some back problems and neck problems, but those were pre-existing conditions, and he did not take the health examination to clear those out. So
Yeah, we also mentioned that too.
yeah, I think we paid that anyways, correct? Yeah. So we generally covered that. I'll go ahead and say we cover pretty much anything at this moment, right? Related to work-related injuries. If a host gets hit by a car, then we'll pay for that. If somebody like, if you get lung cancer and you're a smoker, then probably not. Right? That might be something I don't cover. I'll send flowers. But I think I can safely say that we'll cover any work-related injuries. I'm trying to think of what would be the maximum that's related. God forbid, right? I would like some more data on what the maximum thing could be, because yeah, that would be good to know. Okay, my upper limit is that we should not bankrupt the company and severely hobble us in terms of how that can be. But I don't think most conditions will be in that case. It'll mostly be like injury. I think the worst that can happen is a host gets hit by a car and then you be hospitalized for a few months, and I definitely will take care of that.
Getting bit by
A dog. Those are small. I think what's the worst thing you can happen to you? Essentially, you're incapacitated, right? Yeah, you're incapacitated and you need to be hospitalized for like 6 months or something. Okay, so I'll cover everything that relates to work-related injuries. Okay, for the time being. With the stipulation, I would like to know what the maximum of. Let's say I would like to know what is, let's say, the percentage of the likelihood of a maximum injury and what that cost would be. What the maximum injury and what's the probability that would happen. All right. Okay, great. So that's discovering on reimbursements then. Reimbursements, my general philosophy is that reimbursements should be transparent. I think everybody's name and the reimbursement amount on a monthly tabulation every month should be transparent. And so that way everyone sees like what's being reimbursed. Certain cases, like let's say for me and Wyana, we cover a lot of company events, so that should be higher. Yeah, we'll just all get used to whatever somebody does, right? But the more transparency is there, the less chances that there's a leak somewhere in the reimbursements. Okay, all right. Back to the chat.
Actually, this is just a brief idea on the next menu. How do we recognize Airbnb measures to guest complaint to avoid partial deduction by Airbnb?
Right. Okay.
So there's some cases that the work air support of the host is not responsive enough.
Yeah.
So the Airbnb deduct us without any of confirmation from us.
Okay.
So this is what we will discuss with the reservation team.
Okay. All right. So.
If I can add something, so basically, I think that it's kind of boring to have a finance guild, so that's why it's kind of as in some ways you have to be a mandatory to attend the guild. So we'll use this opportunity together to meet people that are related to the topic that we are going to discuss. So we'll invite them to come over and discuss about the things.
Yes, please.
Gigi, in this particular case, I wouldn't agree with that, right? The guild is a small forum so that you can arrive at decisions, and also SLA is faster. It's actually a good thing that not everyone's attending. Like Reservation Guild, I think was Chandra, Alvin, Chris, and me, right? So we were able to formalize much faster some general principles faster. And when you want to integrate them into, let's say, a squad or whatever, a team, then discuss it with the squad and get your integration in first with that. Because you already arrived with some ideas and some plans, and then you ask basically for a vote to get those integrated in. Once you have, I think, achievement in the squad level, you're essentially running your program at that squad level. You can then come back to squad later and say, all right, you want to elevate these to multi-squad or to company level, and get your feedback from them. That's the idea of an MVP. So it's not necessary to get everybody to the discussion because it will just confuse people, right? And you're right, it will bore people because it's not necessarily something that they're thinking about. But if you create a policy and you say that this is what we'd like to do from now on, and we'd like to test out in your squad, would like to be the first to receive this new SLA on what to do. Maybe it's a reservation issue, right? I think this is actually a reservation issue.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so then I think it affects the reservation guild. So I think the first integration is to, this is how we handle reservations for this particular incident. Not really air support. I guess air support picks it up, but it comes in through the Airbnb inquiry feed usually, right? Which is usually where we do reservations.
Yeah.
Air support, I'm thinking, is after the guest has made the booking and they're already, sort of in play and whatnot. But I would slot this into reservations, and if you just want to be extra careful, just also cover it on air support, so that we can start integrating into what is reservation associated behavior. Okay, back to the chairman.
So we agree to use this. So we will escalate this issue to the
Reservations.
reservation.
Yeah.
But not necessarily. The discussion.
So the way depends what you want to do. You can go into the reservations with two options. One is you go already with a solution, right? You have your idea, a motion. So you can just say, I'd like all hosts to respond and get evidence. I'd like this to be high priority, as high priority as a reservation request in terms of priority dealing with this. I'd like hosts then to take immediate action on gathering evidence and then returning this to Airbnb before 24 hours, because if we don't gather evidence and return it back, then there's a financial leak. And that would be a motion, right? That would essentially be a proposal. Or you can go, I don't know, and then I can just go in and have a discussion. If you want to get things done quicker, I would suggest you come with some sort of proposal, because then there won't be any confusion, right? Then we have essentially a benchmark to begin a discussion. People might go, no, I don't think that's the idea because hosts should work on reservations. Or no, this is air support's job. Or no, this is somebody else's job. No, this is community manager's job. But at least they will have a reaction. If you don't, then you open up the discussion and then you start kind of like from zero, right? And you can't really control where it's going to go either. So if you do want to, I think, have a idea, propose it as a motion with reservation. The reservation guild meets quite frequently, 3 times a week. It's up on the all hands, and just pass it through me. All right. If you want to have it, I can be the spokesperson. If you want to have to discuss it, here's something cool. You can go over here. You can cross guild it. So you can go over guild to a reservation guild, and you can put it on your business for them, right? And just tag yourself on it and say it's brought up by you. Yeah, and you can discuss it yourself, or you can give proxy to somebody else, such as Jing. All right, Jing wants to bring this up, and then as a proxy, I would then come back to you when there's a decision. Right. So, for example, I'll just walk you guys through this. So once this is finished loading, I would. So this is great. So there's always a way to import and export ideas and see if the ideas have been followed up. Maybe Gigi can open this faster than I can because I'm waiting forever. Yeah. Oh, I finally got through. Okay. So we can put this up as it's essentially. Okay, I'll probably wait for Gigi to put it in since you can come in. I believe you're already on the guild paper, so you can just go into the new business and say you want to. Oh, you're not in the paper. Let me add you to the paper then. So I will proceed by inviting Gigi to the paper. Ah, slow shit. Ugh. Alright, that's the problem with recording. Maybe we should have a separate machine just to record. Okay. Page unresponsive. Great. Wait. How can I? Right. Oh, I have a way for you to do it. So, do you have a profile, such as, let's say, Bukit Vista profile? Okay. So from Bukit Vista profile, you can search for Reservation Guild Journal. Okay. Okay, do you see it? All right, perfect. And just go ahead and put down your names, Gigi, Risky, and make Jing the proxy if you want. You can come into the meeting too if you want to be part of it. And it is how to maintain Airbnb support messages to prevent loss. And you can state your motion, right? Is it slow?
Yeah, it's
Slow on your side too.
Yeah. I think it's
Probably too much shit, yeah. Of course, it's probably because Chris attached 100 photos to it, or 100 videos to it. Alright, next meeting is tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, while I'm
Okay, let's continue then. Mr. Chairman, alright, back to...
Okay, the last one is actually this is a new thing
Uh-huh.
from me.
Yeah.
It's about general legal and finance fact.
Yes, okay.
So we just find out this topic just this morning
Okay.
from Active and Manly. So the way as reading about what should the MOU
right on.
Mm-hmm.
what language we should
Ah, okay, great,
and
okay.
what legal MOU looks like.
Ah, okay, alright.
There's, and then yeah, from that we make we want to make a discussion. I mean,
Yes, okay, this is good, alright.
because at some part like our contract it's actually already based on us.
Right, right.
And so
Okay, understood. Alright, so let's see. Oh yes, we need to have it in Bahasa and two languages. Okay, alright, got it. So, lead the discussion, Chair.
Okay, I guess it's just I just want to propose this topic to discuss with you again.
Ah, okay, alright. Yeah, so partnership contract plus pay in Bahasa. Oh wow, we better change our employment contracts too then, for that matter.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay, alright.
It's legal.
Okay, so I think that's a good subject actually. Yes, we better start doing this over again then, yeah? Okay. So let's do this then. Who issues MOUs right now? It's being issued by Marketability, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we just make sure that they're bilingual? Okay. No, they're all written in English. Yeah.
English and or
Yeah. Okay. MOUs, as I understand, if I'm not mistaken, are generally not enforceable anyways. Am I right? MOUs are, that's why it's called a memorandum of understanding. It's not a full contract. We're balancing a delicate balance, I think, between speed and also security. So, for example, if I understand correctly, if you want the contract to be real, you have to go and get it notarized. Is that correct? Okay. So, would that impact the speed at which we can acquire new partners?
I think notarized is not necessarily, sir. I
Right.
think we can just use the method.
Right. Okay.
We can just sign it by the both side
Right. Okay.
of the matter and already
Okay. Sounds good. Here's generally what I understand about like the business that we're in. If we need to go to, let's say, dispute, the case is already lost, essentially. If we need to go into dispute, essentially we know that we'll probably not find justice either way, and the foreigner probably won't find justice either way. We had a discussion about this with Justin Ho, who was a Singaporean client, and he was asking about contract and legal and all that. And so I told him that I think ultimately this needs to be somewhat of two things, right? The speed at which we get deals can't be influenced by, let's say, the legal overhead, because that will slow down the pace of deals. The second part is, well, if there is a fight, then what do we do, right? Do we sue the person if they didn't pay us our commission? Let's say for a case where we had some unpleasantness, let's say that maybe La Joya or Jan's case with Little Singa or partners that have dropped out. If we do take legal action, I feel like that's not a good use of our time, right? And does the law really protect us too as well from
Yep.
people who, let's say, have forgotten to pay us our commission or they won't pay us our commission back? the point of, I think, any MOU or anything is just to have something in paper and something to say, hey, look, we agreed on this before. If a person wants to be a bully and say, well, it's an MOU, then I think we can already say we don't want to be a part of it, right? Essentially, that's like kind of an as-is discussion. So I guess the discussion is around legal escalation, which is if we plan to have legal escalation, we can plan to have contracts that are more secure. If we don't plan to have legal escalation, then we have contracts that are a little bit more casual, right? I think in this particular case, there's no drawback to having it in Bahasa at all. I think it doesn't change anything. It tends to help us, if anything, if there's, let's say, authority. So I think we should change all existing contracts to have bilingual, if it's a foreign owner, and have it in Bahasa if it's an Indonesian owner. I wonder why nobody brought this up to us before.
Maybe because they also can understand about how it works.
How this works, right? Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, let's start printing out new ones. And for the existing partnerships, what should we do?
So yeah, we need to do something. So I've talked with English, so there's nothing we can do about it. So yeah, I mean, like if we have pretty much time, then we and also
Could
we
go
have
back
time
and
with
renew the
yeah,
contracts
like
that we have existing.
It's not the priority, but at least we are getting better. So
Okay.
from now on, we
Yeah.
can focus on
I think
using
so.
like more.
I think so. Okay. Yeah, let's not keep on making the same mistake over and over again. Yeah, we want to be progressive as a company. Okay. All right, let's do that. And then, okay, okay, next one.
Okay, we will keep you updated, sir, because this is still very new for me and Iggy,
Okay.
so
Same for you, too. Yeah.
we're trying to learn one by one.
We should ask Gordon. He's our lawyer. He's supposed to be helping us with this. You guys familiar with Gordon? Okay. Gordon is our lawyer. He's essentially this guy that.
Gordon, Hong Kong, Gordon.
Yeah, Hong Kong Gordon. Yeah. What did? Oh, you were in Hong Kong, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Oh well, whatever. Gordon's a bit of an anomaly, I have to admit, because Gordon also has hotels. So he sees us in a very complex way. He sees us actually a marketing partner. And on law, he gives us free advice. But we haven't done much marketing for him, but he's given us free advice on legal stuff. So the relationship is a little bit awkward right now, I'll say it, right? It's not clear. We're not paying him for legal advice, but he's not also paying us for any marketing either. And most of the stuff he's bringing us is really hard to market. So we can go to Gordon to help get advice about how to conduct this. He's a lawyer for Almar. Yeah, so Almar Resorts. He takes care of Almar. In fact, he owns half of Almar now. So that's his background, and he has a lot of experience doing this. We went to Gordon to discuss about, say, holding company in Hong Kong. That was back in October, right? And he told us we should get a holding company. We should do all this stuff there, but it seemed really complicated. It was a lot of work. I wasn't in the mood to do that at the moment. Yeah, there's a lot of work. And also, I realize I'm actually unprotected right now in the company. I don't have any legal ownership of my own fucking company. And he suggested that I get something that covered my ass. He said if you do that, Jing, then now all of a sudden you're on the tax radar because you're American. So that was all good.
Yeah.
You got evil each way, right? But long-term wise, we should probably have a Hong Kong holding company or a Singapore holding company because that makes us more interesting as an acquisition for
For the
a
investor.
because investors do not like dealing in Indonesia where they have no legal recourse, right? If you decide to screw them over, then they have to come here to fight you, and they usually lose. So that's why they need to have you to have a company in Hong Kong when they'll sue your Hong Kong company, and that has assets and such and such. Okay, so that's what I understand, and once again, it's the beginning of the journey, and if we're going to start this journey, then we have a follow-up point. So, okay, all right.
Yeah, I think it's good topic because it's essentially pretty new.
Well, this is pretty normal too. We're all new, and that's why we start guilds. The whole point of the guild is to essentially advance on a new topic as a group instead of just get stuck and get caught in confusion. Or at least we know where we're all collectively stuck,
Yeah.
and we all know where the first out will be. Gordon might not be the lawyer here forever. He might not be the end all, but at least we can start with maybe Gordon's thoughts and go from there. Okay, all right. I asked him actually for some contracts. I don't know whatever happened with that. I asked him for employment contracts, for partnership agreements. He said that he had some boilerplate templates. Yeah. Let's put on new business, Mr. Secretary. Oh, wait,
Sure.
actually, it's the chairman's job. New business. Let's go with this, right? Gene will follow up with Gordon to get 3 contract templates. I think one is we need a partnership agreement contract. The other is we need an employment contract, and then kind of just a spare general. Actually, those are the 2 contracts that we primarily deal with, right? Employment contracts and partnership contracts. Do we deal with any contracts? Vendor contracts, perhaps? We don't really have
We have vendor.
the drivers.
Well, I think they're not working that professionally now.
Okay, they're just.
Right.
Okay, let's get those 2 then. Let's get employment contracts and property partnership contracts. I think that'd be nice to have. If he has any templates, then we'll get that. If Gordon doesn't give it to us, I know somebody else who can give us. Probably Eddie can also give us. He's the notary that does a lot of the property deals here in South Utah. Okay, all right, cool. I can follow with that. All right,
Okay.
back to the chairman.
Yes, I think that's it for discussion.
Okay, very good. All right.
I think so. What we should do, in the next meeting, so we should put the.
All right. So as chair, we will move. Let's see what's going on here. Financial goal. Okay. So what we do at the next meeting is, well, we first have to pick a person for the next meeting. One, we went over time. It's been more than half an hour, so we'll try to keep it within the limit. The next meeting will be, let's see. Next meeting will be. Well, the secretary will put in the next meeting, and he'll. You appoint the next chairperson then, sir. And it's a rotating. Okay, so June 4th.
So must be me, right?
Okay. All right. So we have a next chairman that will be Gigi. All right.
The next chairman.
Okay. And Gigi, who do you want to be your secretary?
Okay. Will you join the guild, sir?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, I think we can join.
Then I'll just get you.
Okay. All right. June will be the next secretary. Great. And I'll probably do the recording too as well. Okay. Fantastic. And oh, gentlemen, we moved the wrong way. This was all new business today. And we need to move it to old business.
Okay. Yeah.
So it needs to flow the other way. New business is essentially topics that we're going to talk about today. Old business is topics that we've talked about and either require follow-up or they just require awareness.
So if I, sorry.
Yes, sorry.
If we came up with a new idea, but
Put it in new business.
just put it in new.
Exactly. And that's where anybody can actually import new ideas. If, let's say, even somebody else from a different guild wants to talk to finance about something, they can also attach it to your new business. And that allows you to receive input. But don't worry about starting small, guys. It's actually perfect to start small. You don't want big, giant meetings where everyone's confused and nobody knows what's the point. You want to kind of build certainty, ideally with just 2 people at the very beginning, as you guys have already done, successfully done. You build certainty with 2 people, you get your first follower. You absorb them in, and you just need to make sure that they show up for the next meeting. That's it. And then after that, you get another person, that person shows up, you get another person. It's pointless to have a huge meeting that nobody comes to the next one, right? And that's exactly how you fuck up these kinds of things. Okay. As a discussion, we don't really have a clear plan of action for the standard reimbursement procedure. I think the follow-up on that can be 1. Maybe I will nominate, I can't nominate since I'm, okay, but I'd like to nominate Gigi, right, to help me understand the median reimbursements in the past, let's say, 2 months for everybody. So I don't need top of line figures, I just need to know what was the reimbursement for everybody, and just like the table, and find out what the median is, and then we can see who was above the median, who was below the median. That would be very great. And that will give us some idea of how we develop our reimbursement procedure. That would give us the number then for all the different topics. I think that would actually be perfect. Okay, let's say this is my visualization, right? So if you have, for example, table here.
Okay, so we got it basically.
Okay, you got it, right? You know the vision. Okay, all right, great.
Anyways, should I put it under new business or old business?
It's old business because it needs to be followed up on. And essentially the next time we come back, I'll just look at it and say, okay, all right, do we have the follow-up to that? Just so that I'm crystal clear, let me sort of give you a breakdown of what I think that could look like. So what I'm looking for is essentially a table showing What? Okay, I'll stop recording.